The message came at exactly 3:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time, deep within the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, inside the Global Deep Space Monitoring Station. Tom Wilson was about to finish his night shift when his computer screen lit up with strange patterns he had never seen before. "This can't be right," he muttered, adjusting his glasses. The patterns weren't random space noise. They were too regular, too structured. His hand shook as he reached for his phone to call his supervisor. Within an hour, Admiral James Thompson stood in the facility's main control room, his weathered face illuminated by dozens of screens showing the same mysterious signal patterns. Next to him, Dr. Emily Reed, Earth's leading expert in xenolinguistics, sat hunched over a computer terminal, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "It's definitely artificial," she said, not looking up from her screen. "And it's not just one signal. It's hundreds of them, all using different frequencies. They'd been hiding these communications in what we thought was background radiation." The Admiral leaned closer, his expression grim. "Can you decode it?" Dr. Reed nodded slowly. "That's the interesting part. Remember those alien ship fragments we found in the Arctic 30 years ago? The language patterns match. We're not just picking up random alien chatter. We're listening to their military channels." The room fell silent. Everyone present knew what this meant. For decades, humanity had suspected they weren't alone in the universe. Now they had proof, and it wasn't the friendly kind. "Play it," ordered the Admiral. Dr. Reed pressed a few keys, and a translated version of the alien communication filled the room's speakers. "The human problem grows worse. They've begun expanding beyond their orbital shell. If we wait another cycle, they'll be too deeply entrenched in their system." Another voice joined in. "Their technology is advancing too quickly. The simulation shows they'll achieve full quantum manipulation within 2 cycles." A third voice, deeper than the others. "Then we must act now. Their system is isolated enough that we can handle this quietly." Admiral Thompson's fists clenched. "How long have these communications been going on?" "Based on the timestamps." Dr. Reed checked her data. "They've been discussing this for what would be equivalent to 3 Earth months. They're planning something big, sir. And they have no idea we can understand them." The Admiral walked to the room's massive window, looking out at the snow-covered mountains. Beyond them, millions of people were going about their daily lives, unaware that somewhere in the darkness of space, advanced civilizations were plotting humanity's fate. "Get me the Defense Council," he ordered, "and keep monitoring these channels. I want to know every word they say." As the facility burst into action, Dr. Reed made another discovery. "Sir," she called out, "I'm finding references to something called the cleansing in their historical records. It seems they'd done this before, to at least 7 other emerging civilizations." The Admiral's jaw tightened. "But those civilizations weren't us," he said quietly. "Humanity has never taken kindly to bullies, no matter what planet they're from." Over the next 24 hours, the facility became the center of Earth's most critical operation. Military leaders from every nation converged in secret, while scientists worked round the clock to decode more alien transmissions. With each passing hour, the picture became clearer and darker. The aliens weren't just planning an attack. They were planning to systematically dismantle human civilization, believing Earth would be defenseless against their advanced technology. Their conversations were casual, almost bored, as if they'd done this countless times before. But they had made one critical mistake. They had assumed humanity was primitive because they were young. They hadn't realized that humans had been preparing for this moment for over a century, reverse engineering every piece of alien technology they could find, building defenses in secret, always suspecting this day might come. As the sun rose over the mountains, Admiral Thompson made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Initialize the Lazarus Protocol. And get me the President. It's time humanity showed the galaxy why you should never underestimate Earth." The greatest game of poker in human history had begun, and humanity was holding cards their enemies didn't even know existed. 3 months passed like a shadow over Earth. To anyone watching from space, the planet appeared to continue its normal routines. Cities glowed at night, satellites maintained their orbits, and radio signals carried the usual mix of entertainment and communications. But beneath this carefully maintained facade, humanity was preparing for war. Captain Michael Anderson stood on the bridge of the UES Nighthawk, Earth's first true stealth spacecraft. The ship hung silently in the darkness behind Mars, its revolutionary dark matter engines completely invisible to traditional sensors. Around him, dozens of crew members worked at their stations, their movements precise and deliberate. "Status report," he commanded, his voice steady despite the weight of their mission. "All systems nominal, Captain," his first officer reported. "The fleet is in position. Asteroid Base Alpha is fully operational, and the Jupiter facilities are running at full capacity." Anderson nodded, watching as the massive construction robots continued their work outside. What had once been simple asteroids were being transformed into heavily armed defensive positions. Each one was equipped with weapons reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships, improved upon by human ingenuity. Back on Earth, even deeper changes were taking place. In the heart of every major city, massive underground shelters were being expanded and stocked. The public thought these were simply subway expansions or utility works. They had no idea they were watching the construction of humanity's survival bunkers. Admiral Thompson stood in the new Global Defense Command Center, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Massive screens showed the progress of humanity's silent mobilization. Green dots represented completed preparations, yellow showed works in progress, and red marked critical areas still needing attention. There were fewer red dots every day. "The Lazarus Protocol is proceeding ahead of schedule," Dr. Reed reported, walking up beside him. She looked tired but determined. "The quantum shield network is at 80% capacity, and the Mars defense grid is fully operational." "And the aliens?" Thompson asked, not taking his eyes off the screens. "Still talking, still planning." She handed him a tablet. "They're preparing their own fleet, but they're taking their time. They still think we're just primitive humans playing with rockets." Thompson allowed himself a small smile. "Let them think that. Every day they waste is another day we get stronger." In orbit around Jupiter, automated factories hidden within the gas giant's radiation belt worked tirelessly. They converted the abundant resources of the solar system into weapons and shields that would have seemed like magic just a few decades ago. Each facility was powered by zero-point energy collectors, another gift from studying alien wreckage. Captain Anderson received the daily updates with growing confidence. The alien technologies they'd gathered over the years weren't just weapons. They were pieces of a puzzle that humanity had finally solved. Every crashed ship, every mysterious signal, every strange artifact had taught them something new. "Message from Command," his communications officer announced. "Phase 2 is complete. Beginning Phase 3. Anderson straightened in his chair. Phase 3 was what they'd been waiting for. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "Go dark, full stealth protocols." Across the solar system, humanity's true fleet vanished from all sensors. Hundreds of ships, thousands of defensive platforms, and countless automated weapon systems simply disappeared. To any observer, Earth once again looked like a barely spacefaring civilization. In the command center, Admiral Thompson watched the boards go dark. "Now we wait," he said quietly. Dr. Reed stood beside him, her tablet showing the latest alien transmissions. "They're still debating the best approach. Some want to offer us a chance to surrender first." "Their mistake," Thompson replied. "The time for talking was before they planned to destroy us. Now they'll learn why humans don't take kindly to threats." As Earth's sun set on another day, humanity's greatest deception continued. On the surface, 7 billion people went about their lives, while beneath the ground, in orbit, and across the solar system, the greatest military buildup in human history waited silently in the darkness. The trap was set. All it needed now was for someone to spring it. The alien scout fleet appeared just beyond Neptune's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning. 5 ships, each larger than Earth's biggest aircraft carrier, slipped into the solar system thinking they were completely invisible to human detection. In the command center, Admiral Thompson watched their approach on screens that shouldn't have existed according to humanity's official level of technology. "Right on schedule," he said, his voice calm. "Just like Dr. Reed predicted." Dr. Reed stood nearby, analyzing the alien ship's energy signatures. "Their stealth technology matches what we decoded from their communications. They're here to map our defenses." She paused, allowing herself a small smile. "Or rather, what they think are our defenses. Time to show them what a primitive species can do," Thompson said. He pressed a button on his command console. "Captain Anderson, you have a go." Deep in the darkness of space, Captain Anderson sat in his command chair aboard the Nighthawk. His ship and 3 others had been shadowing the alien fleet since the moment they entered the solar system. The aliens had no idea they were there, their advanced stealth systems completely blind to Earth's quantum detection grid. "All ships, combat positions," Anderson ordered quietly. "Weapons free, but hold for my command. Let them cross the line." The alien fleet moved steadily forward, passing Uranus, then Saturn. Their confidence was obvious in their formation, loose and casual, like tourists on a sightseeing trip. Their internal communications, which humanity could now easily intercept, showed they were almost bored. "Such a primitive system," one alien commander said to another. "Their most advanced ships still use chemical rockets. The cleansing will be quick," another replied. "They won't even see us coming." As the alien ships approached Mars' orbit, they passed an invisible line drawn in space. Thousands of seemingly innocent asteroids suddenly came alive with energy readings. Hidden weapon systems, powered by zero-point energy collectors, locked onto each alien vessel. In the command center, Thompson nodded to Dr. Reed. "Send the message." A simple transmission went out, directed at the alien fleet. The message was in their own language. "You have entered restricted space. You were not invited." The alien ships froze. Their commanders, suddenly alert, began barking orders. Their weapons powered up, shields activated, and their formation tightened. But it was already too late. "Execute," Anderson commanded. The space around Mars lit up like a new sun. Every asteroid in a 1,000-mile radius revealed its true nature. Quantum torpedoes, gravity weapons, and energy beams that bent space itself all fired simultaneously. The alien fleet didn't even have time to send a distress signal. 4 minutes later, silence returned to space. Where 5 advanced alien ships had been, nothing remained but scattered atoms. Earth had not lost a single weapon platform. "Damage report," Thompson asked, though he already knew the answer. "No damage, sir," a technician reported. "Their shields never had a chance to fully activate. Our weapons performed beyond projected specifications." Dr. Reed's computer chimed with an incoming transmission. "Sir," she said, her voice tight with excitement, "I'm picking up a massive spike in alien communications across all channels. They're panicking." On screens around the command center, alien messages flooded in. "Scout fleet lost. All contact lost at Mars orbital line. How is this possible? They're primitives. Full scan of system sol shows nothing. No weapons, no advanced technology. Where did the ships go? What happened to them?" Thompson allowed himself a grim smile. "Now for Phase 2. Dr. Reed, prepare the message we discussed. It's time to let them know that the hunters just became the hunted." As Earth continued its peaceful spin through space, appearing to any observer as just another inhabited world, its true nature remained hidden behind layers of deception. But now, finally, the galaxy would learn an important lesson. Never mistake patience for weakness, and never, ever threaten humanity. The real war hadn't even begun, but the first shot had been fired. And Earth had just shown the galaxy that it wouldn't be as easy a target as everyone thought. The time had come to make humanity's position clear. 3 days after the destruction of the alien scout fleet, Earth was ready to send its message to the stars. In the command center, Dr. Reed made final adjustments to the transmission system. They would use the aliens' own communication network, a fact that would shock them as much as the message itself. Admiral Thompson stood behind her, watching the final preparations. "Are we ready?" he asked. Dr. Reed nodded. "The message will broadcast on all their frequencies simultaneously. They won't be able to ignore it or pretend they didn't receive it." She looked up at him. "Are you sure about the wording?" "It's very direct." "That's exactly what we want," Thompson replied. "No diplomatic double talk. No room for misunderstanding. They need to know exactly what they're dealing with." Captain Anderson's voice came through the command channel. "Fleet is in position, sir. If they try to trace the broadcast, they'll find nothing but empty space." Thompson took a deep breath. "Send it." Dr. Reed pressed a sequence of buttons, and humanity's message began its journey across the stars. The transmission went out in perfect alien language formats, using their own encryption methods. Another demonstration of Earth's hidden capabilities. The message was simple. To all alien civilizations planning the operation known as the cleansing. "We've been listening. We've been watching. We understand everything you've said, everything you've planned. Your scout fleet's remains can be found at coordinates attached. We didn't start this, but we will finish it. Come if you dare. Humanity." The effect was immediate. The alien communication channels exploded with activity. Dr. Reed's translation software worked overtime to keep up with the flood of messages. "They're going crazy," she reported, reading the incoming responses. "Some are demanding to know how we cracked their codes. Others are trying to figure out how long we've been listening. A few are already calling for immediate attack." Thompson smiled. "And the coordinates?" "They found them. Multiple ships are reporting back after investigating the site. They're terrified, sir. The level of weapons technology they're detecting in the debris doesn't match anything they thought we had." In space, Captain Anderson watched his sensors as alien probe ships appeared near Mars to investigate the destruction site. His fleet remained perfectly hidden, watching the watchers. The alien vessels moved nervously, like prey animals that had suddenly realized they were being hunted. "Sir," one of Dr. Reed's assistants called out, "we're picking up transmissions from their leadership council. They're calling an emergency meeting. This hasn't happened in their recorded history." Thompson nodded. Everything was going according to plan. "Keep monitoring all channels. I want to know every word they say, every plan they make." The next few hours were filled with frantic alien communications. Their carefully laid plans for dealing with Earth had been shattered. Instead of finding a helpless primitive civilization, they had stumbled upon something far more dangerous, a species that had been quietly preparing for war while pretending to be harmless. "New transmission, highest priority," Dr. Reed announced. "Their Supreme Council is speaking." She listened through her headset, her eyes widening. "Sir, they're sending an ambassador. They want to talk." "Of course they do," Thompson said. "Fear is a universal language, and we just showed them something very frightening. A civilization they can't predict or control." As Earth continued its silent orbit around the sun, its message echoed through the galaxy. In countless alien command centers, military leaders struggled to understand how they had so completely underestimated humanity. Their carefully laid plans for conquest had transformed into desperate plans for survival. The game had changed. Humanity was no longer prey. They were the hunters, and they had just announced their presence to the galaxy in a way that no one would ever forget. The alien ambassador's ship appeared at the edge of the solar system exactly 1 week after Earth's message. It was a massive vessel, decorated with the symbols of the Galactic Council, its hull gleaming with a pearly white finish that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. In the command center, Admiral Thompson watched the ships approach on the main screen. "Just one ship?" he asked. "That's all we can detect," Dr. Reed replied, studying her readings. "Though it's bigger than anything in their standard fleet. This is their flagship, the one they use to impress primitive species." Thompson smiled. "Let's show them our own version of impressive. Captain Anderson, you have a go." In space, the Nighthawk and its fleet suddenly appeared around the alien vessel, decloaking in perfect formation. The alien ship froze, its sensors suddenly overwhelmed by the appearance of 20 Earth ships that hadn't been there a second before. "They're hailing us," Dr. Reed announced. "Audio and visual." "Put them on," Thompson ordered, straightening his uniform. The main screen lit up with the image of Ambassador Gray, a tall, silvery-skinned being wearing elaborate robes. His large eyes widened slightly at the sight of the human command center, far more advanced than what he had expected to find. "Greetings," the ambassador began in perfect English, another attempt to impress the primitives. "I come in peace from the Galactic Council." "Speaking your language would be easier," Dr. Reed interrupted in flawless alien speech. "And we already know why you're here." The ambassador's composed expression slipped for just a moment. His translator had told him he would need to use simple words and gestures to communicate with humans. Instead, he found himself facing people who spoke his language as if they had been born to it. "Very well," he recovered smoothly. "The Council wishes to understand how you achieved such advances without detection. Our monitoring systems were fooled by exactly what we wanted them to see," Thompson cut in. "Just like we've been fooling you for the past 100 years. Dr. Reed stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Images appeared showing various alien crash sites throughout Earth's history. Every ship you lost, every probe that mysteriously vanished, we found them all, studied them, improved them." The ambassador's silver skin paled slightly. "Impossible. Our technology was good," Thompson agreed, "but it had flaws. Flaws we fixed. Would you like to see?" At his signal, the holographic display changed to show Earth's defensive capabilities. Quantum shields protecting every major city, weapon platforms hidden in plain sight, power systems that drew energy from space itself. "While you watched our rocket launches and laughed at our primitive technology," Dr. Reed explained, "we were building all of this. Every failed experiment you saw was a cover for our real advances. Every public space mission hid a dozen secret ones." The ambassador stood silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had lost its diplomatic smoothness. "The Council made a mistake in judging Earth as a target for cleansing." "Yes," Thompson said simply. "You did. Now, would you like to discuss terms for peaceful coexistence, or should we demonstrate more of our capabilities?" "Terms," the ambassador said quickly. "The Council proposes immediate recognition of Earth's sovereign status and—" "No," Thompson interrupted. "You don't get to set the terms. Not after planning to wipe us out. We'll tell you what we want, and you'll listen. Because if you don't—" He nodded to Dr. Reed, who activated one final display. It showed the locations of every cloaked Earth ship in the galaxy. Hundreds of them, far beyond their solar system, all positioned near critical alien worlds. The ambassador's eyes widened in genuine fear. They hadn't just underestimated Earth's technology. They had completely misjudged humanity's reach. While the aliens had planned their attack, humanity had already quietly infiltrated their entire civilization. "Now," Thompson said calmly, "let's talk about the future. A future where you never again mistake patience for weakness or preparedness for paranoia." The real negotiations were about to begin. And this time, humanity would be the one setting the rules. 2 days into the negotiations, Ambassador Gray received new orders from the Galactic Council. His silver hands trembled slightly as he read them on his personal device. The Council wanted a demonstration of Earth's capabilities before agreeing to any terms. They still didn't fully believe a young species could be so advanced. "They want proof," he announced to the negotiation chamber, trying to keep his voice steady. The Council requests a demonstration of your defensive capabilities. Admiral Thompson and Dr. Reed exchanged knowing looks. They had expected this request. In fact, they had planned for it. Very well, Thompson said, standing up from the negotiation table. Please, follow us to the observation deck. The observation deck of Earth's command center offered a panoramic view of space through quantum-enhanced windows. As they entered, Dr. Reed activated a holographic display showing the entire solar system. Captain Anderson. Thompson spoke into his comm unit. Begin Operation Lighthouse. In space, Captain Anderson sat forward in his command chair. All ships execute primary sequence. Display Protocol Alpha. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden power began to reveal itself. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter suddenly lit up as thousands of automated defense platforms dropped their camouflage. Each asteroid-mounted weapons system glowed with more power than an entire alien battle fleet. First, Thompson explained to the stunned ambassador, our defensive grid. Each platform can track and eliminate targets at ranges your sensors can't even detect. The holographic display zoomed in on Jupiter, where massive structures emerged from within the gas giant's swirling storms. Our power stations, Dr. Reed continued. We've been using Jupiter's storms to mask our zero-point energy collectors. Each one produces enough power to run an entire civilization. The ambassador's silver skin had turned almost white. Impossible. The energy requirements alone would be beyond your technology. Thompson finished for him. That's because you never thought to combine your quantum generators with dark matter containment. We did. The display shifted again, showing Saturn. Its rings suddenly sparkled with hidden structures, a vast network of shipyards and manufacturing facilities, all perfectly concealed within the ice and rock. Our industrial capacity, Dr. Reed said, we can produce more ships in a month than your entire council builds in a year. And yes, we've been doing exactly that. The ambassador stood speechless as more and more of humanity's true power was revealed. Hidden bases on Pluto, stealth fleets near Neptune, weapon systems that could reshape the orbits of planets themselves. And now, Thompson said quietly, the part your council needs to understand very clearly. He nodded to Dr. Reed, who pressed a sequence of commands. Across the solar system, thousands of quantum beacons activated simultaneously. Each one revealed the location of a cloaked Earth vessel, not just in their solar system, but in every major system controlled by the Galactic Council. While you were watching our chemical rockets, Thompson explained, our real ships were moving into position. Right now, we have enough firepower aimed at your core worlds to end your civilization before you could even send a distress signal. The ambassador sank into a chair, his diplomatic composure completely shattered. How long have you been preparing for this? Since the first alien ship crashed on our planet, Dr. Reed answered. We knew we weren't alone. We knew others might not be friendly. So we prepared. Every generation added to our defenses, improved our technology, expanded our reach. Always in secret, always waiting. The Council has a choice to make, Thompson said firmly. Accept Earth as an equal, with all the respect and rights that entails, or he let the threat hang unspoken in the air. The ambassador looked out at the displayed solar system, now alight with power that rivaled the stars themselves. His people had thought they were coming to subjugate a primitive species. Instead, they had walked into the lair of a sleeping giant, one that had spent centuries preparing for this exact moment. I will convey your terms to the Council, he managed to say, though I suspect they will be quite amenable to your suggestions. As the ambassador hurried from the room to contact his superiors, Thompson and Reed shared a satisfied look. The message had been delivered. Now they would see if the galaxy was wise enough to listen. 1 month after the demonstration of Earth's power, the Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Admiral Thompson walked to the speaker's podium. The vast hall was filled with representatives from 1,000 alien civilizations, all gathered to witness humanity's formal acceptance into the galactic community. But this wasn't a ceremony of submission or mere acceptance. This was humanity dictating terms. For centuries, Thompson began, his voice carrying across the chamber. We watched the stars and prepared. We saw your ships crash on our world. We heard your plans for our destruction. And we got ready. Dr. Reed stood nearby, watching the alien representatives' reactions. Some showed fear, others respect, and a few, the wiser ones, showed understanding. You called it the cleansing, Thompson continued, a simple name for genocide. You've done it before, 7 times by our count. 7 civilizations wiped out because they developed in ways you didn't approve of. He paused, letting his words sink in. That ends today. Earth is now the protector of developing civilizations. Any attempt to interfere with an emerging species will be considered an act of war against humanity. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Captain Anderson, standing at the back of the hall, smiled slightly. Right on cue, the massive window behind Thompson lit up as Earth's hidden fleet decloaked. Thousands of ships, stretching as far as the eye could see, each one more advanced than anything the Council had. We're not here to rule, Thompson assured them. We're here to ensure peace. Real peace, not the peace of the strong dominating the weak. Dr. Reed stepped forward, activating a holographic display. It showed the location of Earth's new defense networks, not just around their solar system now, but around every known emerging civilization. We've already established protective cordons around all developing worlds, she explained. Our ships will ensure their right to grow without interference. They will rise or fall on their own merits, not by your judgment. The Council's chief administrator, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline form, floated forward. And if we refuse these terms, Thompson's expression didn't change. You won't, because you know what we're capable of. You've seen only a fraction of our strength, and that alone was enough to make your military commanders lose sleep. He pressed a button on the podium, and new images appeared. They showed Earth's latest achievement. Massive space stations appearing throughout the galaxy, each one a center for science and commerce. We're opening these stations to all species, Thompson announced. Centers of learning, trade, and cooperation. Because humanity doesn't just want to prevent war, we want to build something better. Dr. Reed took over, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of human determination. We hid our true nature because we had to. Now we're revealing it because we choose to. Earth isn't just joining your community. We're reshaping it. The chamber was silent again, but this time with acceptance. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was the catalyst. Captain Anderson's voice came through Thompson's private comm. Final fleet elements in position, sir. Operation Guardian is fully operational. Thompson nodded slightly. Humanity's protective network was complete. Never again would a young civilization face extinction just for developing differently. As the formal treaties were signed and celebration began, an alien historian in the chamber wrote down what would become famous words across the galaxy. The humans never fired the first shot, but they made damn sure they were ready to fire the last one. In doing so, they didn't just save themselves. They saved us all from what we might have become. Earth's sun continued its eternal dance through space, now joined by the lights of thousands of ships coming and going freely. Humanity had emerged from hiding not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians, protectors of the weak, defenders of growth, and architects of a new age. The message had been delivered, the warning had been heeded, and the galaxy was better for it. For in preparing to defend itself, humanity had found its true purpose, ensuring that no species would ever again face extinction for the crime of being different.